Alright, I'm back. I have something for the drinking game. If you don't pause the video, go have some drink. It'll be fine. Anyway, back to the story. What should we look up now? I asked. You've already read about the terrible secret behind sea serpent facial hair. Oh my. The reason why griffins hate and ponies hate each other. In that strange case of the oatmeal that made all those ponies in Hoofington go crazy. Crazy stuff. By the way, that wasn't the time to drink. I just felt like drinking something. Twi's eyes flashed. Oh, ponies and griffins. That reminds me. I was reading the book, and so she leaned across me to read it. But as she flipped the pages for the entry she was interested in, I felt my heart beat faster as she rubbed against me. But suddenly she found the page she was looking for and sat back on her half of the sofa. I looked down at the page. Hippogriffs? Twi nodded. I read the entry. It says that the hippogriff is the foal of a griffin and a pony produced with the aid of magic. Magics. I scratched my head. I never knew about that. But don't you think it's amazing that two species that are so different can actually fall in love? Her violet eyes searched my face. Well, it is pretty amazing. Actually kind of adorable if you think about it. Twilight clopped her hooves together. Oh, it is, isn't it? Let's have another drink. I was already quite drunk now, but Twi kept levitating the dandelion wine over on top of my glass. I was at that point when you stopped being able to judge how much you've had to drink already. And I took another sip, turned to Twi and looked at her. She'd had a few drinks by now. She hadn't quite been meeting me drink for drink, but her cheeks were flushed and she was softly smiling as she looked down at the glass floating before her face. Because that passage, take a drink. If you didn't do it, shame. Hey, you're not tired, are you? I asked suddenly. I was worried that the evening was starting to come to an end just when we were starting to get close. Twi didn't look up and just shook her head. I leaned over and looked up at her, but she turned her face away, and the flush from the liquor deepened into a blush on her cheeks. I think I've had a bit too much to drink, she whispered. Another drink. Fuck, I missed something. Before that says, Twi didn't look up and just shook her head. Fuck. Aw, come on, Twi. Let me see those gorgeous eyes of yours. All that wine had made me braver. Nice. And with her body so close to mine, I was gripped with a desperate need to see that face I'd fallen in love with. They're not gorgeous, she said, still refusing to meet my gaze. My face feels all flushed. I must look terrible. You don't think it's possible for you to look terrible, I told her. I brought my hand to her and lifted it up. She didn't resist, but just stared at me, her violet eyes glistening behind those long, dark lashes. Take another drink. Yeah, this is why I said, probably not a good idea to drink alcohol. You'll get really drunk really fast. Or die. You really think so? She asked shyly. I nodded. You know, I've had a thing for you since the first time we met. Twi frowned. A thing for me? Oh, fucking A. I felt my heart beating faster. I guess it was now or never. You know, a crush. And it was, I had to tell her sooner or later. At least this way I'd get it all out of my system and not have it eating me away inside. Her mouth became an ooh of surprise. You have a crush on me? She said, pulling away. You're not freaked out, are you, Twi? I was gripped by a sudden panic that got through my drunkenness. I'd forgotten that I was essentially a hairless ape in a world of magical little ponies. And I knew that I must look strange to them. And strange was more or less the same thing as unattractive. Take another drink. I'm gonna run out of something to drink at this soon. Twi didn't reply. Ah, fuck. Twi didn't reply and just turned her face away. Twi? I felt my heart like a dead weight of ice sink in my chest. I wanted to reach out to her and touch her, but my hand fell back. I knew my heart just wouldn't be able to stand it if she recoiled from me at that moment. Normally I would take a drink, but no. I already had too much shit to drink and ate yesterday. But at last she turned back to look at me, and her eyes were glistening with the beginnings of tears. Twi, what's wrong? Why are you making fun of me? She demanded, distraught. I thought you were my friend. Did you really think I was making fun of her? Damn it, Dad. I fought off my own tears. I'd never do that to you, Twi. I slipped my hand onto her foreleg, and she looked down at it, but she made no move to pull away. Is it really so hard to believe that I'd have a crush on you? You you don't think I'm ugly? She asked. Glistening had become tears, and they rolled down her lavender cheeks in droplets like diamonds, were trapped by her thick black lashes. Take another drink if you feel like it. I'm too lazy. Ugly? What are you talking about? Weird, then? She said, her voice a little more than a whisper. An ugly, weird egghead? Who's called you that? I was suddenly... Wait, let me do this again. Who's called you that? Beat the fuck out of them. I was suddenly furious at the thought that someone could be so mean-spirited. You'd be surprised. Ponies have, she replied. That's true. I'm a plain, boring egghead with a rump. Bet you will. Who no pony would ever want. But that plot, yo. That plot be sexy. Her tears were falling onto the couch now. I've never even had a cult friend before. I guess Dan's just find a mayor who's interested in reading books a bit too boring to watch a date. Her eyes closed in pain. I mean, I'm no Fluttershy. I can be pretty touchy at times, and I guess that scares a lot of guys off. And no pony wants a girlfriend who uses big words. Who told you that garbage? I demanded. Rainbow Dash, she replied. You know, I'll say something after this next paragraph, or small little thing. Rainbow Dash giving you advice about stallions, I snorted. I think you can discount anything she says, Twi. I bet it was Rainbow Dash who said you were an egghead as well. I reached over and slipped my arms around her. She flinched, but didn't move away. So I pulled her towards me and hugged her. You're none of those things, I told her. You're funny, you're smart, but I wouldn't call you an egghead. You guys are supposed to be boring, and you're easily the most interesting individual I've ever met. You know, most of the time, Rainbow Dash is a lesbian. So, if that's the case in this story, she was taking advice about boys from a lesbian, which is a stupid thing to do. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't. You really think so? She rested head on my shoulder. I believe it's supposed to be she rested her head on my shoulder. Fix it. It was soft and warm, and I could feel the hot wetness of a tear-filled eye against my cheek. While my guitar gently weeps. I don't know. Really, I replied. But most of all, you're beautiful, Twi. I don't think you realize how beautiful you are. She pulled out of my arms and stood across the couch away from me. Please stop saying those things. I know you're just saying that to make me feel better. I shook my head, seeing her so fragile, so vulnerable. Someone like your usual stubborn, opinionated self was breaking my heart. I'd never lie to you to make you feel better. You'd be able to tell straight away if I was. Twi looked at me. But why do you think I'm beautiful? I look just like one of those animal ponies you told me about from your universe that spend the entire day eating grass and neighing and pooping and... Animal ponies? I chuckled. I'd have never met a pony in my universe that I could sit on the couch beside and drink with and have fun with and fall in. I stopped before I said too much. But why don't you like some pony like Rarity then? She asked. Or Fluttershy? They're so much more beautiful than me. Are you gonna make me say it, Twi? I closed my eyes for a moment in pain. It's those eyes of yours, Twi. That look you get in them, and sometimes when you're talking about stuff you love and your mane. I went red. I'd never sweet-talked a girl by praising her mane before, and it did feel weird. But it was true. Those bangs made her look totally adorable, a real sexy librarian type, but also showed how naive she was, and I found that instance about her maddening. Anybody's watching this. Any girl. If you think you're ugly, please, don't worry about it. It's not always about how you look. It's sometimes just about how you are. Now, if you're complete, pay to say, bitch, then, screwed. But if you try to be really nice, and you try to be kind, you try to be funny, you try to be smart, try these things, chances are somebody will fall in love with you. You'll find your guy. Don't worry. Anywho, on to the main part. You like my mane? Twi sniffed. She wasn't crying anymore. No pony's ever told me that they liked my mane before. Don't you think it's a totally unfashionable cut? I mean, it's nowhere as near as gorgeous as Rarity's, and let Rarity have the wavy mane of hers, I snorted. Your cut suits you, Twi. I can't imagine your mane any other way. Besides, I think it's adorable. You're adorable. Twi looked up at me shyly. At long last, she seemed to believe what I was saying, and her mouth opened, but no words came out. She stared at me like that for several heartbeats, and then all of a sudden, a stream of words exploded out in a rush. I think I have a crush on you too! She babbled, and as soon as she finished, she turned away, her face crimson. Wait, Twi, you do? I felt my heart leap in my chest. I at least think that's what this feeling is, she said. That advice I gave her earlier, that applies for boys too. My experience, it's usually not about how you look. It's usually about if you're a good guy or not. But again, if you're kind of an asshole, then you're kind of screwed, now aren't you? This has been life advice with me. I'm probably not the best person to give life advice, but I don't know. Beside the point, though. Oh, fuck. I'm gonna take another drink. Why? Just cause. There you go. Yeah, I went there. Side of me. Girl, you just don't realize what you do to me. You hold me in your arms so tight, it lets me know everything's alright. I'm hooked on a feeling. I don't believe I own. Okay, now I'm not going to sing for the rest of this. Bye. Fuck. She said, I've been trying to look it up in books, but everything written about what love is was so confusing. It's just that when you're not around, I just can't stop thinking about what you're doing. And when you were helping after fix the barn that time, I realized I was jealous. But why? I realized that my self-doubt was probably pretty unattractive, but it didn't seem to worry her. I guess she shared those same feelings about things and understood what I meant. You're the first guy who I've been able to talk without dumbing down what I've been saying. She explained, and you stand up to me too. Remember the time when we were arguing about rainbows? You kept on telling me that they were caused by, what was it again? Refraction of sunlight and water droplets. And I was lecturing you on how they were a fusion of the original light of creation as it extends to our universe. I remember, I replied. You got pretty angry at me too. Well, I was also, well, she said, it was just exciting to be able to talk about something like that with a boy for once. I don't know if you've noticed, but the sounds in Equestria are not exactly the sharpest bunch. I think he's noticed. I nodded. Equestria was clearly a matriarchal society, where females were expected to do all the administration and thinking, leaving males to do a lot of the physical labor. I guess it would be a novelty for Twi to be able to talk about these sorts of things. And I love it when you use big words like zenith or perihelion. Let me feel all her chucks fleeced, melty inside. Nice. As she sat there beside me, blushing hot and staring down the couch, her fur legs tucked underneath her, I wanted to throw my arms around her right there and then. She really was the most adorable thing I'd ever seen. But Twi, don't I look weird to you at all? I still couldn't believe that she would find what was essentially a bald ape attractive, no matter how big the words he were used for. Well, I have to admit, you are pretty unusual looking, she said, for her usual disarming honesty. But as soon as the words left her mouth, her forehead flew up to her mouth and horror. I mean, for Equestria! It came out in an apologetic rush. I'm sure that in the human world, nah, I'll admit it, I chuckled. I am pretty funny looking. Even back on Earth, people called me funny looking. He's kind of funny looking. What made him funny looking? I don't know. He was just kind of more funny looking than you or I. Yeah. If you get that reference, I will go to your house and give you a hug and say I love you. If you get that reference, say it down in the comments, please. I will go to your house and give you a hug. Or I'll try to. In fact, that just might be kind of creepy. Beside the point. Looks just aren't important to me, said Twi quickly. I mean, I'll let you. I didn't mean to see that you're ugly. She looked down at her hooves and said in exasperation, "Oh, you always ruin everything. I just don't know how to talk to boys. While she was still babbling, I took her head in my hands and brought her face close to hers. My face close to hers. Just stop talking for a second, Twi, I said. Her eyes went suddenly wide in panic, and her mouth opened to an O, but she didn't move away. Are you going to kiss me? She asked. I smiled. That was what I was intending to do. Yes. I'd never really kissed any pony before, she began to say, but I'd already brought my face against hers, and she shut her eyes tight and went slack in my arms as I moved her lips against my own. Firm, but soft and warm. And as I parted, I could taste her hot breath, therapy and sweet with dandelion wine. Seriously, what the fuck does dandelion wine taste like? I left them there for a few heartbeats until she was used to the feeling of my skin against hers, and then I broke the kiss. As soon as her lips were free, she was talking again. Did I do that right? It's just I've read so many books about how to kiss and everything, but actually doing this completely. I brought a finger up to her lips and she went silent. It's not really something you can learn from a book, Twi. I said with a chuckle. But that was one hell of a kiss for a beginner. Nice. I love the story. Okay, we still got time. The corners of her mouth turned up in a pleasant smile under my finger. Oh, I'm so happy I did okay. I lay back on the couch and patted my lap. Why don't you put your head here for a little while? Twi didn't need to be asked twice. She lay her head down on my lap, and she sighed as I started to stroke her mane. It felt just like a human girl's hair. A lot softer than I expected. For a long time, I enjoyed the sensation of letting it drift through my fingers. Then I ran my fingers over her muzzle, like you would if you were petting a dog. She seemed to like that a lot, closing her eyes and rubbing the side of her head against my stomach. I put her past her horn and down her mane, then back across to her ears, which were now turned back in pleasure. Does that feel nice, Twi? I asked. She murmured. Murmur. And I felt that suddenly happy excitement you get when you're with a girl and you realize that things are going to lead somewhere with her tonight, but could I actually do it with a pony? Well, you're somebody who fell in love with her, bro! Broski. Want a broski? You know, because I said that, take a drink. I love this drinking game, don't you? None of most people who are probably playing it are probably dead! Woo! I was able to kill people due to a story. And making it into a drinking game! I am an asshole, I am an asshole. I looked down at her body, her little forelegs curled up under her chest, her knees pressing against the side of my leg, and her sleek body all laid out on the couch, the gentle dip of her spine that led up to her softly rounded rump with its tail flicking back and forth as I pet her. Another drink! Her body was so pleasingly curved and feminine, I felt myself getting hard. Oh my. I wondered if she would notice. As I guessed it proved, she was pretty inexperienced, and I didn't want to scare her off before things got interesting. I couldn't stand the thought of slinging into my bed drunk and trying to beat it off after everything that had happened. Yes. You smell really good, she muttered in my lap, her eyes still closed. You smell just like a stallion. You smell just like a human girl, I said. It was true, she did. Underneath of lavender and vanilla sweetness, there was that unmistakably spicy scent of some feminine excitement. Twi was obviously getting turned on. Is it getting sticky in here? I don't know. I guess we're not really that different after all, said Twi philosophically. We even speak the same language. Twi lifted her head up suddenly. Yeah, what's with that? She cocked her head, and as she often did when that thought took hold of her. Even in Equestria, there are different languages, so how does it happen that different dimensions speak the same language? It just doesn't make any sense. I shrugged. Maybe there's an invisible bond between our worlds or something. Isn't that what you were investigating with your magic when you brought me here? I'm sorry, she whispered, putting her head back down. I'm so sorry. No, Twi. I ran my hand along her mane. It was the best thing that ever happened to me. If you'd messed up that spell, we had never met, and I closed my eyes. I don't think I could even stand thinking about that. Okay. Yeah, we got about 5 minutes. 5-10 minutes. Or, maybe I'll leave a story then. That'd be great. Me neither, murmured Twi, snuggling her face into my lap. We sat there together in silence for a while, me scratching her behind her ears, and Twi just lying there with a dopey smile on her face, when suddenly she lifted her head and looked at me. Her cheeks had turned crimson red, and her violet eyes glistened. I wonder if she began, running my fingers down along her neck, her back. If humans and ponies can, Twi still blushing and forward my gaze. I don't know, I replied. I think so. Do you want to find out? Oh my. Twi smothered her face back into my lap, as if trying to hide, but then I felt her nod. When she lifted up her face again, there was a sudden heat in her eyes. Do you want to? Oh God. I nodded, more than anything else in the world. Pausing it. Real quick, I could just be, I'm going to keep on recording. During this time, go get yourself a drink. Doodle. Alright, I don't know if it was picked up on the mic or not, but, something happened. Oh, shit, I'll be right back. Somebody's at the fucking door. Alright, I'm back. Fucking people at my door. Anyway, during that time, I got myself another drink. Before you ask why, this is where the things get sexual. And when things get sexual, that means it's probably almost time to drink. Shall we? I think we should. Twi lifted her head off my lap and sat back on her rump. A nervous smile on her face. I think I want another glass of wine. Her horn began to glow, a magical aura wreathing itself around the bottle, which began to float across to us. But suddenly the aura flickered, and the bottle wouldn't have fallen onto the floor if I hadn't reached out and instinctively caught it. I was pretty drunk as well, but it was a lucky catch. And Twi clapped her forelegs together in delight. I think I should do the pouring from now on, I said with a smile as I filled both glasses. Twi's ears went back and she frowned. My magic gets all mixed up after I've had a few drinks. It's so embarrassing. Pretty sure that's normal. I think you're an adorable drunk, Twi. I chuckled, taking another drink. Twi did the same, glancing at me over the lip of her glass as she drank. A little too fast. Something of the dandelion wine spelled on her front, and she floated the glass away, glowing as she pawed her sticky chest over for you. Take a drink. All this wine has definitely gone to my head, and I'm getting all hot. She looked thoughtful. I remember reading that alcohol increases the blood flow around the body. And that's why I'm getting all hot all over the place. I'm getting pretty hot too, I said. Twi looked at me. Well, no wonder you're hot, and you insist on wearing those clothes all the time. Humans don't have as much fur as ponies. Twi. I laughed. We need clothes to keep us warm. I want to see, she said, suddenly moving closer to me. See what? How much fur you have? Said Twi. I'm curious. She patted me on the chest with a forehoof. Oh. Okay. I said, no point arguing with a drunk unicorn. Are you sure you're not hallucinating right now? Shut up, you drunk unicorn. I'm not going to take off all my clothes. Oh. I unbuttoned my shirt and slipped out of it, throwing it over the back of the couch. Twi brought a tentative forehoof to my chest and then started to stroke the hair on it. It doesn't feel so different from pony fur, he remarked, fascinated. I think pony fur is a bit softer, actually, I said. As she was stroking me, I slipped my arm around her and ran my hand down her back, feeling the velvet soft texture of her coat. It was a sudden sigh, 12 fell into my arms. The side of her face flushed against my chest. I suddenly had that warm, fluffy softness against my bare skin. And the sensation was amazing. Blah. I took her head in my hands and lifted it up, taking care to avoid the horn, and this time she moved on into the kiss, her lips opening to accept my tongue. She was timid at first, letting me explore the inside of her mouth, running my tongue along her palate, and her teeth, all of which were a little larger than I had experienced kissing a human girl, but soon she grew bolder and brought her tongue at mine, and Twi moaned breathlessly against my mouth. broke the kiss, breathless, and looked up to see that Twi's home was softly glowing. I'm going to stop that there, but before that, take a drink. Yep. Next time, the story should be getting really kinky, and we should be able to finish it next time. Prepare to take a lot of drinks if you're following this game. If you're not, it's a little more fun that way. Sorry, I was just in my background. Until next time, everybody. Until next time.